Iron Distance event consists of a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike, and a 26.2 marathon run. So we covered 140.6 miles every single day through all 50 states.
Well, speaking of injuries, what kind of injuries did you have and how did you deal with them?
I was expecting to deal with way more injuries than I ended up having. The bike crash was the one with the hip injury. It affected my sleeping. It was actually good to ride the bike with the injury because it loosened it up and got the blood flowing in it. I didn't have any stress fractures. I didn't have any pulled muscles. Interestingly enough, the two big veins that go up on the inside of your legs, they got irritated right before New Jersey, which was 23 or 24, and they just got super sensitive. They inflamed. The body was trying to protect itself just from rubbing on the saddle. And I remember New Jersey's ride being difficult. You're bringing back all these horrible memories. I remember New Jersey being very difficult, the bike ride, because I think they went out of their way to take me on a route that had the most possible potholes and crappy roads in New Jersey. And just every time I would hit those, my legs would rub against the saddle. It was just super, super painful. And it took 2 or 3 days for that to work itself through. That was a pretty big unanticipated injury that I would have. And then probably race number 6 or 7, I tore my shoulder. And what people don't realize is the last hour of my swim was probably the most painful part of my day. And I ended up doing the last 40-some swims, mostly one-handed. The other arm was just kind of along for the ride as a stabilizer. You'll notice my swim times get slower, and then what's interesting is they start to get faster again. And it's only because it's not that the pain started to get less, is that my mind learned how to manage that pain better. And so the way that I felt it as internally, it became less and less painful, not because it actually was, just because I learned how to manage that pain more successfully.
Yeah. Well, speaking of training, I know there may be some people think you just woke up one morning and you decided to do this, but I know that you did a lot of training leading up to this. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that training, and then is there anything you would have changed after, looking back, would you have done anything differently?
Yeah. So with the training, not knowing we were doing the 50-50-50 specifically, we did the first 2 road records, and so those 5 years leading up to it, those all contribute to the fitness that we had. We started doing real specific training probably 18 months out from the actual project, and as we early on in the training, we did a lot of zone 4 muscular endurance type of work. Even though this wasn't a huge endurance event, I did a lot of weight training just for durability and strength. And then as we got closer to the actual event, it just became a lot of hours and a lot of slow zone 1, zone 2, kind of real specific to what we were going to be doing out there. It was just I work with David Warden, who's a genius in this kind of thing, and really there's nobody's ever gotten ready for 50 events in a row. And so we approached it as, look, we're going to get ready for 10. And then the fitness and experience you gain from 10 will carry over to do 20 to 30. And the fitness you gain from 20 to 30 will carry over to do 30 to 40. And so, we kind of just approached it that way. And it proved to work because before we started, I was physically ready to do those 10. And it was a complete shock to us, but we got stronger as we moved through and as the body adjusted. And then you asked if we would have changed anything. I'm from Canada, and so just not knowing the U.S. that well, we had to rely on a lot of people across the country to help us with courses and logistics. And now having crossed the country, that's one of the biggest things we would have changed was where we went and how we got to those ones. We didn't realize because we were involving individuals to come participate with us every day, and do the 5Ks and to do bike rides with us. That was one of the best things we did because it got people involved and engaged and doing stuff with us. But it was that part of it was very hard on us because it lengthened our days that we were on site in each location, which ultimately shortened our travel schedules. And so where initially we had the plan to be out of each state by 9 p.m., get to the next location, have plenty of rest time, we never left before midnight. I mean, so we were just minute to minute, and ultimately that affected my crew. My sleep time never changed whether the drive was long or short because I slept en route. I only ever got 4 to 5 hours of sleep. Who it affected most was the crew because they were the ones that had to drive all night. So they were up all day long helping me, and then once we got to location, sometimes they only got 2 hours of sleep before they had to do it all again the next day. So the experience that I had and the fatigue that I experienced was very different to the experience the crew had and the fatigue that they had. Both were very different but very difficult.
Talk about your support group a little bit more. I mean, who was along with you? I know, for example, you told me that you did it at this specific time so that you could have your family with you. You have your kids with you because they're out of school.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about you.
Yeah, I've got 5 kids, all in elementary school, and it would have made way more sense to do this project like in late August, September, even September, October, just because of the climate throughout the U.S. One of the biggest questions we got is, why the crap are you guys doing this June and July when temperatures and humidity and everything is so crazy? And the only reason is because there's no way I would have accomplished this goal without my family there with me. And I wasn't going to go and do this without them. My biggest motivation to get to the finish line every day was knowing my 5 kids and my wife were going to be there to greet me, and there was no way I was going to let them down. And so when I was in those dark moments or whatever, I was just like, you know what, I told them I was going to see them tonight, and I'm going to see them tonight. And it's not because I got brought in by a car, it's because I did what I said I was going to do. And so it made it far more special for us to be as a family unit and to be all there experiencing it. And what was super cool is my kids got to do whatever. I mean, they got to see the country. People ask me, hey, what was it like to go see the U.S. that way? And I was like, man, I saw a lot of lakes, I saw a lot of pool bottoms, and I saw a lot of asphalt. Ask my kids how the country was, because what they got to do is they slept awesome as we traveled through the night, and then they woke up and they got to do whatever was cool in the state. So they got to see monuments, museums, zoos, amusement parks, water parks. I mean, they just got to take it all in. And then we had a camera crew with us. We had a photographer with us. We had doctors and massage people coming in and out from time to time just to check on my status and make sure everything was safe and I was never at risk of anything. And then I had 2 full-time wingmen with me, we called them. And man, they saved me. Their personalities are completely different. They're yin and yang, but together they made the perfect support crew for us. And nothing is accomplished on this level or this magnitude without an awesome, full-functioning team. Nothing's accomplished on your own.